Now, Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party have continued to trade words over the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which sacked Senate Minority Whip Darlington Nwokocha, who represented Abia Central District. While the Labour Party berated the appeal court for the judgment, the PDP has asked Labour Party to be democratic and embrace the ruling. Abia State LP Chairman Ceejay Igara had earlier rejected the ruling, noting that the judiciary is expected to always be the last hope of the common man, and that there are a plethora of judgments from the Supreme Court which bars adjudication on issues of political party internal affairs. Joining us now is the Abia State Chairman of Labour Party, Ceejay Igara, who is set to respond to some of the claims made by the PDP stalwart on Arise News last week. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here on Newsday.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon, Nigerians.
Good afternoon. Now, of course, you rejected the outcome of the proceedings, and you also heard what the PDP had to say about this matter last week. What's your response at this time?
Thank you once again. I wouldn't have even dignified him with a reply, but because of his penchant for misinforming Nigerians, I thought it's necessary for me to give a clear direction and the true position of things. Number one, he claimed that Labour Party was not in existence. He claimed that we came up just 48 hours to election. That alone is a miracle. If we came up 48 hours and were able to push aside the PDP and then took over all the slots, that's not the issue. Number one, I want to make it clear that Ceejay Igara, like we know him, has a penchant for blackmail. And because the Labour Party, as presently constituted in Abia State, we don't have space for those who are seeking for a job through blackmail. We look at meritocracy. To put the record straight, 2011, that's to tell you the history of Labour Party, 2011, a sitting speaker, Right Honorable Stanley Ohajiroka, left PDP and joined Labour Party to contest for governorship. That was 2011. Down the line. Then by 2019 or 2018 about, when they conducted the last local government election, Labour Party won several seats in some local governments. If we were not on ground, there's no how we would have won the elections. That's to tell you the hypocrisy of my good friend. Then coming to the issue of compliance with election, I have some few documents here which I brought just to prove to Nigerians that everything he was saying or everything he said are all lies. If you look at it, he said we did not comply.
Igara, I'm sorry to just interject, if you will allow me. So what Ceejay Igara echoed was the judgment from the court, which is that the Labour Party candidate was not compliant. And in doing so, he made the allegation that the Labour Party is not interested in democracy because the Labour Party is vilifying a court ruling. What's your position on this?
Thank you very much. Number one, our candidate won election squarely. He even won the candidate in his own ward and in his own polling unit. You can go and find out whether what I'm saying is true. So if people came out and voted for him, and then he is now saying that we didn't comply with the election processes, that is why I said it's not true. We have a lot of judgment, and according to what he told us, and according to what we had on paper, all elections, all judgments and decisions cannot and should not be predicated on pre-election matters. This has always been the issue. And according to the judgment which we saw, Section 77 is very clear. We have plethora of judgment that says jurisdictions does not lie on the courts. to determine pre-election matters. It depends only on the aspirants that contested with those candidates in that primary elections. And in this sense, Ceejay Igara is not a member of Labour Party. He did not contest. Akobondo is not a member of Labour Party. He did not contest. So if this is the true position, and if this is what the judgment, the Supreme Court and other courts have said, who am I to say otherwise? So that is why I made it very clear that what he is saying is not true. That our candidate was duly qualified. He was duly nominated. And of course, if you look at all the processes, we have them all there. And these processes clearly put the record straight. And that's exactly why I said that what he said was just hypocrisy of the highest order.
Okay, we hear you now. You've mentioned a few points here that all elections and judgments should not be predicated on pre-election matters. Jurisdiction does not lie on the court to determine pre-election matters, and your candidate was duly qualified and nominated. So what are your next steps after, your right of reply?
Well, the truth, number one, we want to put the record straight. We want to tell Nigerians that we followed all processes, because he said, according to his contribution, he said Labour Party does not follow processes, that we don't want to follow democratic processes. And that's why we want to prove him wrong by showing you all our processes, beginning from congresses to party primaries. We made it very clear. These are all acknowledged copies of our party primaries notification and our Congress notification, which we all have. Number two, we also believe, if you look at the entire processes, and if you look at what our people did that day, he was accusing us of violence. Maybe he doesn't know the meaning of violence, because it has not been recorded anywhere that Labour Party is involved in any violent activity, either now or before. Then for him to bring this issue of violence means there's something he knows we don't know. Even the accusation, he's accusing us of conducting a protest. I was not there. I was in the office. People from the constituency came to me and we advised them, gentlemen, please make sure you go about your activity peacefully. And that was carried out. I really don't know where he imported the issue of violence, and that we don't as a party believe in democracy. It's very frustrating. And it's not something anybody who is in his right senses can take up. Okay. And that's why we decided to put it very straight and record straight to Nigerians.
Mr. Ceejay Igara, Abia State Chairman of Labour Party, thank you for your response to that conversation that we had last week on the program. Thank you for your time.